Over the years, Batman has been trapped in some rather abusive relationships. The 1966 TV show turned him into a camp clown, writers throughout history have turned him into a joke, and Joel Schumacher slapped on some nipples and put him in the middle of a garish nightmare pantomime that your dad probably liked. And yet, the Bat endures. He's now a bulletproof brand, just about, but looking back over the years, he has come perilously close to being killed completely. I'm Ben from What Culture, and here are 10 terrible mistakes that almost ruined Batman for everyone. Number 10. Batman was nearly cancelled in the 1960s. It's almost unthinkable, but Bob Kane confirmed that by 1964, DC was indeed planning on killing the character off altogether. Logically, Batman would probably have just been relegated to a supporting character in the JLA series, but without the subsequent appointment of editor Julius Schwartz, it's possible that we might not have seen a successful Bat for the last 6 decades. Schwartz came in '64 and completely reinvented the character, cutting away the chaff and tightening the focus with a new look Batman who debuted in Detective Comics number 327. The detective elements returned, and so did the character's darker aspects, giving him the shot in the arm he desperately needed. Number 9. The ridiculous Bat companions. In the early 60s, Batman was bloated by silly, superfluous side characters. The worst offenders were undoubtedly the awful Bat-Mite and the almost comical Ace the Bat-Hound, both of whom were thankfully dropped when Schwartz came on board. Just imagine the world's greatest detective needing the assistance of a mask-wearing dog. And as for Bat-Mite, he was an annoying abomination, clearly inspired by the same school of thought that added Scrappy-Doo to Scooby-Doo. Whatever focus group signed off on that needs to be shot. Oh, actually, no, Batman wouldn't like that. Maimed then. Maim the focus group! Number 8. Ludicrous storylines. In the interest of adding some color and diversity to the Batman universe, some writers hoard him out in the interest of entertainment. At various times, Batman has been an undercover fortune teller, a caveman, a medieval bandit, and has been the subject of romantic storylines that would have no place in the modern, darker Batman world. There have been some monumentally odd storylines, like the time Batman and Robin were turned into 2D characters by a rainbow monster, or when he became Bat-Baby and continued to foil crimes. Every time a story like that emerged, a strip of credibility was ripped away, and it's no surprise that sales figures took an obvious dip too. Number 7. Alfred Pennyworth, bungling detective. Alfred wasn't always a pinnacle of virtue and a grounding influence on Batman. He was originally conceived as a comic foil. His early duties saw him attempting to be a detective in his own right. In those stories, Alfred would invariably take down a criminal plot entirely by accident, but mercifully, the comedic aspects of his character were downplayed and dropped, reinventing the character for the better and establishing the model that would continue up to the modern day. Number 6. Alfred was killed off. He might have been the emotional heart of Nolan's trilogy, but life without Alfred was actually a reality for a while back in the 60s. After sales picked up in 1964, writers combined to give Alfred a heroic death, saving Batman and Robin from a falling boulder that killed him in Detective number 328. The retcon came some 2 years later when it was revealed that Alfred had been revived by Brandon Crawford and had become evil! He awoke from his apparent death as the Outsider, with pasty white skin and circular markings, superhuman powers including telekinesis, and a desire to destroy Batman and Robin. He indirectly battled the dynamic duo on a number of occasions, but did not physically appear in the comics until Detective number 356, when, during a struggle with Batman, he returns to normal with no memory of his time as a supervillain. Number 5. Bill Murray almost played Batman. Many actors have almost played Batman, but it's unlikely that any would have been as terrible a decision as the near casting of Bill Murray for Batman in 1989. Hashtag Bill Murray for Batman in 1989. While Michael Keaton's comedic side probably helped the character, he was also edgy enough to add depth to both the Caped Crusader and Bruce Wayne, with the charisma and poise to pull off both characters. Murray, on the other hand, would have ruined both, and would likely have stopped Burton's Bat films before they ever got going. Number 4. ARONOFSKY'S Batman Year One. Before Chris Nolan was offered the chance to reinvent Batman with a darker, more realistic edge, another rising star director was approached to see whether there was still some life left in the property. Darren Aronofsky actually teamed up with Frank Miller to develop Batman Year One, which all sounds great, only it seems that Aronofsky didn't actually want to make a Batman film. In Miller's script, Bruce Wayne wasn't a billionaire heir, he was a street urchin with borderline psychosis who tackles crime by taking violent revenge on thugs and criminals. He would be a recession superhero, ignoring Batman's usual gadgets and using whatever he could get his hands on, and disguising himself without the aid of his iconic suit. Every recognizable element was stripped away, no suit, no Batmobile, and even Alfred was reimagined as a paternal mechanic called Big Al who dies before the film opens. Oh god, I suppose you could call it a reimagining that actually defies words for wankers. #reimagining that actually defies words for wankers. Number 3. The high camp. Even after Julius Schwartz saved Batman by bringing the darkness, the initial success of the 1966 TV show meant that DC lent on him to change the tone of the comics to fit the show. That inevitably meant more camp, but the camp wore thin quickly, and after the show was cancelled in 1968, the comics were left with a tone that wasn't popular and quite a distance from the successful model brought in by Schwartz. Thankfully, Dennis O'Neil and Neil Adams swooped back in to distance Batman from the silliness and to return the character to the darker origins Kane and Finger had built. Number 2. Batman Triumphant. There have been a number of Batman films that never made it to screen, but Joel Schumacher's Batman Triumphant, or Unchained as it was rumored to be called, takes some beating as the oddest. With a cast that would have included Nick Cage as the Scarecrow and Madonna as Harley Quinn, but reimagined as the Joker's vengeful daughter, the film was optioned when Warner Bros. Was somehow impressed with the abject horror show that was Batman and Robin. But thankfully, when the film tanked, the studio saw sense and the sequel was binned. While Batman and Robin wasn't quite enough to kill the potential of the product altogether, the prospect of another catastrophic camp failure from Schumacher would probably have spelled disaster for Batman. Number 1. The Joker died in his first appearance. How would Batman have survived without his greatest nemesis? If the original writers of Batman had gotten their way, that's a question we'd have an answer to. In the interest of preserving the moral integrity of the comics and letting Batman triumph without compromise, the Joker's first appearance was designed to be his final one, as he was stabbed in the heart, kicking the bucket in the process. Hang on. Moral integrity. Preserving the moral integrity. Stabbed in the heart. Stabbed in the heart. Okay. Bill Finger had been concerned that allowing villains to return would simply make Batman look inept, but he was overruled, thankfully. Without the Joker, there wouldn't have been an enduring Batman, and even more importantly, without returning villains, would have been stuck with DC imagining new villains every issue, and we don't want that, Rainbow Monster. Kite Man. And that's our list. Make sure you subscribe to the What Culture Comics YouTube channel for more lists like this, and don't forget to visit whatculture.com for daily news and articles. I'm Ben from What Culture. You can follow me here on Twitter, and thanks for watching.